Hey everybody, welcome back to Movies Nat. I'm your host Cody, and today we are going to do a review on Home Alone 3. So it's kind of just like a look back on the forgotten last theatrical release of Home Alone. Home Alone 3 released in 1997, riding the high of the early 90s Home Alone and Home Alone 2. I rarely ever hear good things about this movie. I rarely ever hear anybody talk about it at all, and it's rarely ever on television during Christmas time. So what does that tell you? So just kind of my history and background with this movie. When I was younger, I loved Christmas movies, and I still do today, but Home Alone and Home Alone 2 were pretty much my top two. So naturally, when I heard about Home Alone 3, I wanted to watch it. And I can't remember if I rented it first or if my mom got it for me. I forget. Anyways, I got it, and I remember being pretty disappointed in it. Even then, especially feeling the magic and the warmth of Home Alone and Home Alone 2, and just like what those two movies brought me as a kid, and then watching Home Alone 3, and I got none of that for the most part. It really disappointed me, and I don't think I really ever watched it. I want to say early 2000s. It was the last time I saw it, and the last time I actually watched it before seeing it recently, which it was on Freeform on Sunday morning. So I watched it Sunday morning all the way through, and I remembered I was surprised. I remembered a lot of that movie, but I also remembered why I didn't like it and why it just didn't stack up against Home Alone and Home Alone 2. So just some background on the movie itself. So Home Alone 3 was actually supposed to be produced side to side or back to back, I believe, with Home Alone 2. However, those plans fell through just due to schedules and budget and things like that. So then it was revived back in 1994, but in 94, Macaulay Culkin kind of took a step back from acting. So it was shelved for the time being until 96, 97, when it finally got traction. It got a budget, and John Hughes decided to write about a completely different cast of characters. So that actually brings me to my next subject here. That is John Hughes himself with this movie, because if you watch this movie and you have no clue the production team behind it, who wrote it, or anything like that, you wouldn't believe that it was written by John Hughes, because to this day, I just don't understand what he was really thinking with this movie. Because think of John Hughes movies, Breakfast Club, Uncle Buck, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone 2. Like, they all have some sort of like I said this earlier, like a magic and warmth to it. And when you're watching John Hughes movie, it just has that that aura about it. Not with Home Alone 3, which, again, I just don't know what he was thinking. Either he didn't know what to do for Home Alone 3, or he didn't want to do it, but he maybe had an obligation by the studios to do it, or just wanted a paycheck, I guess. Because the passion just doesn't seem there. It just seems way too goofy. It's starting to get into that B-movie territory. I didn't understand what he was thinking and how we got the movie we got with him writing it, him doing the script, everything. I know he didn't direct it, but still, he came up with the idea for this movie, and it just doesn't pay off. So anyways, let's get into the movie itself. So Home Alone 3 completely leaves behind Kevin McAllister, the McAllister family, Marv and Harry, and it focuses on new characters, new villains, but the same sort of premise. So we follow now a kid named Alex Pruitt. his mom Karen. He has a brother and sister, and then it revolves around not like just your old school burglars breaking into houses that are local to the town. No, this is like an international terrorist organization that's coming in here, and I think their names are Oleg, Ryan, Lenny, and David. So we got, instead of 2 bad guys, we got 4. So it starts off with, I guess, those 4 criminals or terrorists or whatever. They had a special computer chip that they were smuggling back to the United States. They put it into a RC car. However, they mix up their bag with somebody else's bag, and this old lady named Mrs. Hess, who is Alex Pruitt's next door neighbor, picks up that RC car, doesn't know until she gets home, but that's what kicks everything off. So the terrorists are going, they're like, okay, we got to get our RC car back because it has our computer chip that we were smuggling in there. So they're going and trying to find the package and I guess Mrs. Hess. So that's what leads the terrorists to Alex Pruitt's neighborhood. Mrs. Hess gives Alex the RC car as a gift for shoveling her driveway, being a nice kid. But then whenever Alex gets home, he finds out he has chickenpox. So this is kind of what sets up the Home Alone premise, and it's kind of a departure from the first 2, because the first 2 Home Alones, Kevin McAllister truly was alone by himself for days without any help coming to him for days. In the first one, as we know, he gets left. They don't wake him up. They forget that he is upstairs on the 3rd floor sleeping, and he doesn't wake up. He has no alarm or anything. And he gets left home while his parents go to Paris. His family goes to Paris for Christmas. All the way in another country. So he is completely home alone for days for Christmas. The second one, he gets on the wrong plane, goes to New York City. His family goes to Miami. Again, his family has no clue where he even is until the 3rd act of that movie. So again, completely by himself alone. In this one, Alex Pruitt gets to stay home from school because he has chickenpox. But his parents, I think his dad goes on a business trip, but his mom works the post office or something, I forget. But she works in town. His brother and sister just go to school, so they're at school all day. So he's just home for a few hours by himself a day. That's where we get it. So anyways, the 4 terrorists arrive in Chicago. They're searching for the RC car. They narrow it down to the neighborhood where it could be, where Mrs. Hess lives. They're breaking into houses. Alex sees this. He calls the cops a couple of times on the terrorists because he sees them. And his mom doesn't believe him. The cops don't believe him because they didn't find anybody. They didn't find any crime or anything being committed. So they think he's making things up, the boy who cried wolf kind of thing. So then Alex just decides to take matters into his own hands, and that's how we get the whole booby trap and, taking down the bad guys plot here. So it happens again when his mom goes to work, brother and sister go to school, and he starts setting up the traps because the terrorists find out that it is Alex, or at least a kid, because there's this RC car chasing them and filming them, and they finally figure out where that RC car was coming from, so they go after him. Well, it looks like we got a helicopter outside. Sorry about that. Low-flying helicopter. Anyways, so Alex does, the classic Home Alone, setting up the booby traps. Some good booby traps here, not going to lie. However, it just, once that whole Alex versus the bad guys thing starts happening, it kind of feels a little, this is where it starts feeling a little B-movie-ish, cheesy. It just doesn't have the same feeling as Home Alone and Home Alone 2. With the traps and the comedy with it, because that's the thing. Like this movie here, it feels just more like a goofy crime comedy with a little kid taking on the bad guys, taking on the criminals, and taking them down. Versus Home Alone and Home Alone 2 actually felt like a Christmas movie with crime and comedy added to it. In Home Alone 3, I don't know if it's just me, but it doesn't feel like a Christmas movie really at all. It's set in the wintertime. You see that from the snow and no leaves on the trees and things like that. But there's really not that much mention of Christmas or Christmas trees or Christmas music or really any of that vibe and atmosphere that we got from the first two. That's just really not in this one. Like, again, it's just really focused on Alex taking on these criminals and defending his house with this booby trap style that we got in the first two. Christmas is, again, really not there. So it's hard to even consider this really a Christmas movie because there's really not much of a Christmas vibe to it. And that's my biggest pet peeve with this movie, is just, again, I don't know what John Hughes was really thinking here. Like, I'm sure he was probably mad that he couldn't get Macaulay Culkin back. He was probably mad that he did have to shelve this movie for a few years, which, again, lost some of the magic, lost some of the height and the high of the first two. But, you know, you could have added a lot more Christmas elements to this movie, in my opinion. Yeah, we get things like with gifts, like the RC car coming home for Christmas type of thing. And also, too, because the first two were set very close to Christmas. Like, I think it started like on the 23rd, and we got to Christmas Eve, then it ends on Christmas Day. This, I don't even know what day of the week it is. Obviously, it's not during Christmas or anything like that because his school's still in. So they're not like off for school. So like, when is this really going on? So yeah, it's just, I like some of the traps. It's really about all I like. I think the kid Alex does a great job as a little actor. Did a great job. I think he killed what he had to do. He killed his role. But the criminals were dumb. And then we get this whole parrot and mouse that are Alex's pets. And that's just goofy too. Like, you got this parrot who's having full-on conversations and on the phone. Of course, I get it. It's funny. It's for the kids, things like that. But it just doesn't have the same effect that you got from the first two movies. And like the mouse, like, he's cute too, I guess. But I don't know. He's got red eyes. But, you know, there's a scene at the end of the movie where, like, the parrot comes riding in on the RC car. He's controlling it, and he sniffs out the last bad guy, the leader of the whole thing, and like, doesn't blow him up, but like lights fireworks and stuff like that. Like, that's just not happening. Not happening. Again, John Hughes, what were you thinking? And then at the end, after that, the parrot and the mouse come riding in on the RC car together, and they're like doing tricks and stuff. Like, come on. Like, you don't, like, this isn't Home Alone. This is not Home Alone. So yeah. Again, there's not a lot that I really enjoy about this movie, but when I watched it on Sunday morning, I was like, I gotta talk about this. I really don't see any people really talking about this movie for good reason. It's definitely a forgotten sequel. It's a bad sequel. But, you know, it's good to understand why it was made, where it came from, and just kind of get a little look back and reflection on this movie. Because there's a lot this movie could have been. I mean, I'm not saying that they had to do exactly what they did in Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2, but at least center it around Christmas. At least give a Christmas atmosphere to it. You know, you don't have to rely on such goofy B-movie comedy. You know, you can make it serious enough where you're taking it serious, just like we did in Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Sure, in those movies, the traps were like funny and dumb and goofy, of course. But, you know, in this one, it's just like the whole time, it's just like, it did not feel like a a Home Alone movie. Still got Halloween on my mind. So yeah. With that being said, I really don't have much more to say about this movie. You know, Alex takes down the bad guys. His parents finally, believe him the whole time, and the cops are thankful for him for taking these people down. And yeah, I mean, we that's really what we get at the end. We don't get like this great, nice or funny ending. They tried to make it funny with the stupid parrot and mouse, but it doesn't work. So yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna give this movie. I was gonna give it a C minus, but I'm gonna give it a D. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a D because just talking about it, yeah, it can't get into the C category. So yeah, Home Alone 3 gets a D. I don't know, maybe I missed something. Maybe other people like this, but if you catch it on Freeform or you have it or it's streaming anywhere, go ahead and give it a watch. See if you get the same feeling I do, or maybe you like it. Maybe you do already like this movie, but from what I hear, a lot of people don't, and I'm one of them. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching this. I'm going to be doing a top 25 tier list for Christmas movies coming up here. I got a couple movies that I need to watch still to complete the list so I can do my rankings. So that's going to come out next week sometime, probably early next week, maybe around the same time or a week from today. So we'll see. But yeah, if you like this, please like the video, comment down below with your thoughts, subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you for watching, and I'm trying to get better at this. I think I am. So that being said, have a great rest of your day, guys, and see you soon.